If you think hazards like these are the biggest risks at your workplace, think again. There are others, hazards so small, 50 nanometers in size, that hundreds of thousands could gather on the head of a pin. They're called bloodborne pathogens, or BBPs, microorganisms in human blood that can cause diseases like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. Who can get bloodborne diseases? The short answer is anybody, and the tricky part is you can't tell for sure who's carrying a bloodborne pathogen by looking at him or her. Bloodborne diseases can infect people of all races, male or female, young or old, and people can carry these viruses for years while looking and feeling quite healthy. Yet all the while, they may be contagious and unknowingly infecting you or a coworker. So let's see if we can keep that from happening. For the next few minutes, we'll walk you through a crash course in BBPs, how they find their way into the workplace, who gets infected and how, and simple measures you can take to protect yourself. Hepatitis B is a serious disease caused by a virus called hepatitis B virus, or HBV. About 60,000 Americans are infected every year, and an estimated 1.25 million are chronically infected. Symptoms may include jaundice, a yellowing of the skin, nausea, weakness, and abdominal pain. Some people carry the virus and never get sick, but they are still contagious. Others who are infected develop only mild problems. If left untreated, HBV can become chronic, causing cirrhosis, liver cancer, liver failure, and death. The good news, hepatitis B is preventable. A vaccine is available that is 95% effective in preventing children and adults from developing chronic infection if they have not been infected. Hepatitis C is also a disease of the liver caused by the hepatitis C virus, or HCV. An estimated 4.1 million Americans, or almost 2 out of every 100 people, carry it. About 80% of people with HCV infection have no signs or symptoms when the infection first develops. Those who do might experience fatigue, dark urine, abdominal pain, and loss of appetite and nausea. Called the silent epidemic because symptoms are absent or hard to detect, hepatitis C virus often goes undetected for years before causing serious illness. There is no effective vaccine to prevent it. The human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, is the virus that causes AIDS. HIV works by attacking your body's immune system, multiplying rapidly and destroying the white blood cells that help fight off disease. The virus converts to AIDS when it destroys your body's defense system, leaving you unable to fight off other illnesses. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that approximately 40,000 persons in the United States become infected with HIV each year. How does someone get a bloodborne disease? The first thing you need to understand is how you don't get one. You don't get hepatitis B or C or HIV from sharing your buddy's soda or from a toilet seat, phone, or mosquito bite. Nor can you get it through the air from coughing or sneezing or from a peck on the cheek. And you simply cannot get HIV by working next to someone who has it or from using the same equipment or eating utensils. You can get infected when you contact the blood or body fluids of an infected person. Typically, BBPs are spread by 3 types of body fluids: blood, vaginal secretions, or semen. But they can also be passed from pregnant women to their children during birth or through breast milk. Vomit and feces are potential carriers as well if they are contaminated with blood. But keep in mind that to get infected, blood or other body fluids containing HBV, HCV, or HIV must get inside your body and into your bloodstream through a break in skin or through mucous membranes. For that reason, most cases of HIV and hepatitis are caused by high-risk sexual contact with an infected person, blood transfusions or intravenous drug use, or mother-to-child infection. It comes down to this. To get infected with HIV, HCV, or HBV in the workplace, there must be contact between broken skin or mucous membranes and someone else's infected blood. Ask yourself this. In in what situations could I come into contact with blood or body fluids in my area. Let's say you decide to be a good Samaritan, like this guy for example. Or you're standing in the line of fire when blood is sprayed and that blood gets in your nose or eyes or enters your body through cuts or abrasions of your skin, even acne. You could be infected. Or say you pick up a piece of glass or a knife that's contaminated with blood and you just happen to have a paper cut on your hands. You could get infected. Cuts, sores, or even tiny breaks in the skin from dermatitis or acne are doorways for the viruses to enter your body. Even though the chances of getting a blood-borne disease in your workplace may be slim, you can't take chances, because if you are infected, you can potentially infect every person you come into contact with, and that includes your family. Prevention is the key. Safe work practices, policies, and procedures followed by every single person in the work area. The first practice, hand washing, takes 15 seconds and it's the most effective step you can take to prevent infections, hands down. And it also protects you against another serious problem in the workplace today, bacteria called community-acquired methicillin-resistant staph aureus, or MRSA, a lethal pathogen resistant to most of the most powerful antibiotics on Earth. Like BBPs, MRSA enters the bloodstream through the smallest opening in the skin, causing deadly staph infections that cause boils, red swollen abscesses, or infections that can easily be mistaken for spider bites that won't heal, and it's highly contagious. So, if you come in contact with blood or body fluids, wash your hands immediately. Also, wash your hands before starting work, throughout your shift, and before going home. And always wash your hands before eating, drinking, handling contact lenses, or applying makeup or lip balm. Here's how. Wet hands, apply non-abrasive soap, liquid or foam, and wash for 15 seconds over all surfaces of hands and fingers. Rinse thoroughly with hands in a downward position to allow contaminants to rinse into the sink. Dry with a clean paper towel and discard. Turn off faucet with a clean paper towel. If hand washing facilities are not available, use waterless alcohol-based hand rubs. Just apply a recommended amount of product to the palm of one hand and rub hands together, covering all surfaces of hands and fingers until hands are dry. But wash hands with soap and water as soon as possible. And keep in mind, intact, healthy skin is an excellent barrier against HIV and other viruses and bacteria. Your skin acts as a protective barrier to keep viruses out unless broken by sores, dermatitis, or acne. So take care of your hands and cover any cuts with bandages. Also, do not share personal care items that might have blood on them, such as razors or toothbrushes. Custodial services are the front lines when it comes to keeping employees safe from the spread of infection. You disinfect high-touch surfaces, equipment, and in particular countertops, toilets, sinks, and trash. Surfaces soiled with blood and body fluids should be disinfected according to facility policies. That means you use strong disinfectants like these. Keep in mind that HBV is up to 100 times easier to catch than HIV because there is a much larger number of the hepatitis B viruses in the blood of an infected person, and because the hepatitis B virus can live in dried blood and on a surface for up to 7 days. Cleaning personnel should always be prepared by wearing gloves and a protective apron. Don't forget, never reuse single-use gloves. Discard after use and be careful when you take them off. Notice how this worker is peeling off his gloves. Careful not to expose his skin to the glove's exterior. Heavy utility gloves can be cleaned and reused, but not if they're damaged. And stay alert when you're handling trash. Shake down trash and never use hands or feet to push it down. Some of the ways workers get exposed? Cuts from sharp objects or even needle sticks. Use a brush and dustpan or forceps to pick up broken glass. Don't use a vacuum cleaner. Unless you're trained and authorized to do so, don't attempt to clean spills of blood or other body fluids. It's too risky. Contact authorized cleaning personnel and block off or restrict access to contaminated areas until they arrive. Then, cover spills of blood or other body fluids with absorbent sweep material to prevent the fluid from spreading. Or use disposable towels to soak up fluids or blood. Spills should be cleaned up with a germicidal cleaning agent or a cleaning agent or disinfectant. And don't forget your equipment. Disinfect mops and other tools after use. Anything, including disposable towels, gloves, glass, contaminated with potentially infectious substances, must be disposed of in a special biohazard labeled bag. Place contaminated sharp objects in puncture-resistant, leak-proof containers where they will not be disturbed. Dispose of according to facility policy. Wear gloves when handling dirty laundry. Place laundry in labeled double plastic bags that prevent leakage. And don't take it home with you. Never wash personal protective equipment in your own washer. Of course, we all hope you'll never have to face an emergency like this one. But if you do, you want to be ready. Know what to do before it happens. Know where emergency kits and protective equipment are kept. Find out if your facility has trained emergency care personnel and keep that number handy. If you get a minor injury, take care of it yourself or visit your medical facility. Bandage cuts or abrasions to avoid contaminating work surfaces. But make sure you clean up any soaked tissues and dispose of them in a sealed plastic bag. What if a coworker is hurt on the job? Good question. It may be second nature to help your coworker without thinking of your own safety, but it could put you and your family at unnecessary risk. First, assess the situation. If he can stop the bleeding himself, that's always best. If he needs your help, you can apply pressure to the wound, but use a barrier to avoid direct contact with blood, body fluids, mucous membranes, or non-intact skin. Point is, avoid letting blood or body fluids contact your skin, eyes, nose, mouth, or clothing. For instance, pull on a pair of single-use or other leak-proof gloves. PPE is designed to protect you from contact. Your employer will provide the PPE you need and train you on fit and how to take care of it. But it's your responsibility to act safely and use it when necessary. If a coworker needs help and it's too big for you to handle, call for help or ask a coworker to call for you. But stay with the injured person and wait for emergency responders to arrive. Give CPR only if you are trained to do so. Unprotected mouth-to-mouth resuscitation can be hazardous. Remember, mucous membranes? Be prepared by keeping a pocket mask on hand to protect you from the victim's saliva and body fluids. After the incident, wash any exposed areas with warm water and soap. If you get blood or body fluids in your eyes, immediately flush your eyes with running water at a sink or eye wash station. If you get blood or body fluids on your clothes or shoes, remove them as soon as possible and place them in a sealed plastic bag. If you did contact blood or any potentially infectious fluids, contact your supervisor immediately to report it. Keep in mind, if you suspect you may have been exposed, you have the right to be tested and get a confidential consult with a physician. If necessary, you may receive a hepatitis B vaccine. Your employer is required by law to give you a place to work that's free of recognized hazards, likely to cause death or physical harm. They also offer training on how to protect yourself, but the rest is up to you. You need a mixture of knowledge and common sense, and you have to act on it. So let's review a few of the safety tips you've learned so far. It takes 15 seconds to wash your hands. Do it a lot, throughout the day, and immediately after any exposure to blood or other potentially infectious fluids. Handle all contaminated sharps, like broken glass or knives, carefully and never with bare hands. Know where protective equipment and emergency kits are kept. Know the type of PPE required for the job, and never try to decontaminate disposable PPE. If you're working around areas that might be contaminated, keep your hands away from your face, especially your nose, mouth, and eyes. Proper disinfecting and disposal is one of the best ways to keep everyone safe. If a coworker is injured, don't panic, but be careful. Never touch blood or body fluids under any circumstances. use PPE or a barrier, or call for help. Finally, remember that your attitude is a key factor in maintaining a safe workplace. Safety is a team effort. It starts with each individual employee doing what he or she can to prevent injuries or infections, and ends up with a workplace environment that is safe and hazard-free.